So you're thinking about making a move to the greater Sacramento metro, but you're just not very sure about where you want to live. Well, in Sacramento, there are a ton of really awesome places to live. And in this video, we're going to be talking about our favorite areas if we were thinking about making the move to Sacramento ourselves. Now, the greater Sacramento metro is an incredibly big area, and there are a ton of different awesome places that you can move to if you're thinking about moving or relocating here. Just one of the other days, we were on a Zoom call with one of you guys that was thinking about moving to the greater Sacramento metro, and they spun it around on us and they said, well, where would you guys move if you were thinking about making a move to the greater Sacramento metro, which definitely got us thinking. And so we decided that that would be a great video. We were going to answer those questions on this video today about where we would move to if we were coming to Sacramento for the very first time and we didn't have any idea about where we wanted to live.
All right, now I'm not originally from the Sacramento area. So I originally moved here with my family when I was in elementary school, and we moved from Southern California. Now, when my family first moved up here, we originally moved to Rockland, and we were in an apartment complex when my parents decided what area was going to be the best for them. So we were in an apartment for a super short period of time, and then we ended up falling in love with Loomis, and that's where I grew up for the rest of my childhood. So I've lived in Loomis, and then in my adult life, I've lived in East Roseville, I've lived in Roseville, I've lived in Lincoln, and I've lived in Granite Bay. And so in today's video, I'm going to share with you where I would pick if I was moving to the area and I wanted to live in Sacramento proper. I'll talk about where I would pick if I had a family and where I would pick if it was just me and Lance. Now, I'll also share with you my favorite area and suburb where I would pick outside of Sacramento as well.
Yeah, so just like Lauren said, we're going to give you our top areas if we had to live in Sacramento with a family, our top areas if we had to live in Sacramento and budget and family constraints and all of that stuff wasn't a factor. And then we're going to finish with our favorite suburb or our favorite area if we were going to live maybe in the greater Sacramento metro, but maybe outside of a 25 to 30 minute drive to downtown Sacramento. Now, Lauren, she wasn't from here. I've lived here my entire life. I've lived in North Highlands, I've lived in Citrus Heights, I've lived in Fair Oaks, went to school in Orangeville, grew up, went to live in Lincoln. We've lived in Roseville, we've lived in Central Roseville, West Roseville. But in today's video, we're gonna be talking about top area to live in Sacramento if you're conscious about family and those aspects. Area, we're going to talk about another area where if you're just not factoring in any kind of budget conscious or any kind of factor where we would live in that regard, and then we'll finish off with the suburbs. Now, typically when we have these phone calls or these Zoom calls with you guys, there are typically 5 different things that you want to consider, and we'll touch on each of these 5 points while we're out there and while we're touching on some of these. So the first one is going to be where you're going to work. Now, we're down here in downtown Commons. We're next to the Golden Juanita, where the K Street Mall used to be at. But you know, some people have to work downtown, some people have to work in South Sacramento, Elk Grove area, others have to work in Roseville or the North Sacramento area. So where you work is going to be very particular about where you're going to want to live. It can make your life absolutely hell if you don't move to the right area. The second factor, since we're going to be talking about families and we're going to be talking about kids, is going to be school choice. So we're also going to touch on some of the school options as well. Now, the third, that's another one that pops up with a lot of you guys, is going to be commuting to Sacramento International Airport. So we'll kind of touch on some of these neighborhoods, how far we are actually in relationship to the Sacramento International Airport. The fourth one is going to be style and type of home. Now, some of these areas are going to feel a little bit older and they're going to have a particular style of home. So if you like new construction homes, you're going to be limited to 5 areas that may not be on this video. If you like older, Tudor or cottage bungalow style homes, then some of these neighborhoods may appeal to you. And then the last one is going to be crime and safety. And that one's going to be a little bit more subjective to your own personal comfortability level, some of your own personal ability to feel comfortable in an area for you and your family. So we're going to touch on 5 of those different hot topics as we're kind of bouncing around the greater Sacramento metro.
So let's check it out. All right, so the first neighborhood that I'm going to share with you where I would choose to live if I was moving to Sacramento and I was raising a family and I wanted to be in Sacramento proper, I would choose, it's where I'm at right now, and it is the Sierra Oaks neighborhood. Now, a couple reasons why I love this neighborhood. First off, I love the older style homes. Now the homes in this neighborhood were built in the 60s and 70s. They're the older ranch style homes. A lot of them are big, sprawling single stories. Some of them actually back to the river, which is super, super cool. And this neighborhood's just really clean, really well kept for being an older neighborhood. Now, the reason that I would pick this neighborhood if I was moving to Sacramento and I wanted to be in Sacramento and I had a family is mainly because of the school districts that this neighborhood feeds to. Now, not all of Sacramento has amazing public schools, but this neighborhood feeds to some really, really good schools. I love the high school out here. So this neighborhood feeds to Rio Americano High School, which is a highly rated high school in the Sacramento area. Now, Rio Americano is an older school, but it's really well kept. They've redone a lot of the different facilities there. A lot of the buildings are newer. They also have really great sports programs and sports teams. I've actually been out there a couple of times because of my daughter who does swim and plays water polo. And the people there are super nice, super friendly. And it just seems like a really, really great campus, a really great atmosphere. So that's one of the main reasons that I would choose the Sierra Oaks neighborhood. Now, another thing about this neighborhood that I absolutely love is I love the proximity to the Sacramento International Airport. So you're only about 15 to 20-minute drive to get to the airport. So if you need to fly somewhere, if you travel a lot, super convenient being in this neighborhood. You're also still really close to a lot of amazing restaurants. Just a short car drive into Sacramento. So if you enjoy the Sacramento foodie scene, there's a ton of really awesome restaurants that are local that are close by. So that's really nice about this neighborhood as well. Now, one of the other things about this neighborhood is that you're still in Sacramento and you're close to all of the action, but you're not in the action. So that's another great thing about the Sierra Oaks neighborhood. You can kind of see behind me just how well kept and clean this neighborhood is. I love the houses. I love the big sprawling single stories. Now, sometimes when we see these houses come on the market, one thing that we've noticed, or one thing I love about these homes, is that the bedrooms are all super large and they kind of have that Brady Bunch style feel. So homes down here that have been redone and updated just have a really, really cool, clean, nice look to them. I love that you're close to the waterways, especially in the summer months, because the breeze off of the water definitely feels a little bit cooler down here. So that's really nice. There's also a ton of trails that are close by. So if you like to get outside and be active, Sierra Oaks is a great neighborhood for that as well. But you can kind of see, just like I said, walking around this neighborhood, just how clean everything is. It's super nice, really pretty, especially in the spring and the fall. A lot of the trees out here are in bloom, and it's just a really, really nice, really clean area. So if I was moving to the Sacramento metro area and I was raising a family and I wanted to stay in Sacramento, this would definitely be one of my top picks.
All right, so keeping up with the theme of where we would live if we were moving to Sacramento. So we are gonna be at our second neighborhood. Now, this neighborhood is going to be a neighborhood that if we had to live in Sacramento, but we were thinking about or considering where we would move with family. So being in Sacramento proper or the Sacramento city limits, but still considering the fact that we're living there with family. We are in one of my absolute favorite neighborhoods and areas of Sacramento, which is going to be the Pocket neighborhood, specifically Cobble Shores. Now, the Pocket neighborhood is going to be on the south side of Sacramento. You're going to be on the west side of Interstate 5, and you're actually going to be kind of pocketed in with the Sacramento River. Now, as you guys can see, where I'm located at right now is absolutely awesome. You know, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know that one of my absolute favorite things about some of these neighborhoods that we experience are some of these awesome communities that are backed up to like these man-made lakes. So the cool thing is if you kind of like spin around, you've got houses that sit all the way on the backside of these lakes. They're just absolutely gorgeous. This neighborhood is a gated community. It's super nice. But more specifically, the Greenhaven Pocket neighborhood that's going to be south of Sacramento, one of the reasons why it's on my list as it relates to a neighborhood or a city that I would move to, considering the fact if we were considering a family, is just the fact that you still have some pretty spacious sized lots. So you can get, you know, decent sized lots. You have some of these more ranch style homes that are going to be anywhere between, I would say, 15 to 2,500 square feet. They're going to be sitting on a little bit spacious, you know, 6, 7, 8,000 square foot lots. You're not going to be super close to your neighbor. Home age is going to be probably between the 70s and the early 90s as it relates to kind of when these homes were built. Obviously, this community is a lot newer and they're a little bit more grand feel. So if we spin around here and just kind of show you what the kind of neighborhood. All these homes are just super awesome, you know, big time style homes that sit up back to this lake, right? One of the things that I absolutely love about the Pocket neighborhood is you still have that kind of feel of residential neighborhood, but you're only going to be probably about 10 to 15 minutes away from downtown Sacramento, Golden One, the state capitol. So if you did need to work downtown for whatever reason, you're a pretty easy drive up Interstate 5. And that's going to put you right on the west side of Sacramento, kind of by Tower Bridge and some of that stuff. So this is one of my absolute favorite neighborhoods and favorite parts of Sacramento. Now, the one caveat to this, you know, when we're considering, you know, where you're working, being close in proximity to downtown Sacramento, the second factor that we talked about a little bit earlier in this video is going to be school districts. So this area doesn't have the best school districts, but it is a very good neighborhood and it's a very good area of town. So this may be one of those things where if you're considering moving to the greater Sacramento metro and you're landing in the Pocket and you do have school age kids, you might consider private schooling in this area. I think the school ratings are a little bit lower, you know, I want to say for the high school and some of the elementary schools. This is definitely a more older and more developed neighborhood. So you've got a lot of older homes in here, maybe not a ton of school age kids, but still got a great feel. You kind of got that Brady Bunch feel with some of the homes in the neighborhoods in here. But that would be one of my factors as it relates to, for a family, you know, kind of going against the rule of, you know, great school districts when we're looking at that. But I really love this neighborhood as it relates to proximity to the airport. You're not too far away. You're probably about 20-25 minutes away from the airport. So you are on the south side of Sacramento, but really it's just a straight shot up I-5, past Natomas, past downtown Sacramento, and you're there. You're pretty close to work if you have to work in downtown Sacramento. You are more on the south side, so if you have a job that's going to be more on the south side of Sacramento, that would be ideal versus the north side of Sacramento. You know, and then relatively, you've got a lot of different amenities and a lot of different things to do down here. So pretty close to some of that stuff as it relates to, you know, where you're trying to be at. But, you know, this is one of my favorite neighborhoods as it relates to in Sacramento, and still taking in consideration that we're moving there with kids. So Lauren's going to take you to one of her dream neighborhoods now. So this next neighborhood is going to be without kids, without any kind of monetary restrictions, without any kind of financial obligations. Where would we move in Sacramento if we didn't have to worry about budget conscious, and we didn't have to worry about kids, schoolings, maybe more empty nesters, maybe more, you know, kind of that element, just, you know, fun, dreaming aspect of it, not having to really put any kind of limitations or constraints on it. So we'll check you out there.
All right, so Lance just shared with you guys about the Pocket, which is an absolutely awesome neighborhood that's located in Sacramento. But next, I'm gonna share with you what my favorite neighborhood in Sacramento is that would be like the dream neighborhood if, you know, money wasn't an issue and I wasn't worried about where I was gonna send my kids to school. This is gonna be that neighborhood for me. So I'm here right now. It's actually East Sacramento. Now, specifically in East Sacramento for me, it's gonna be the Fab 40s. So if you've ever been to Sacramento around Christmas time, you might know the neighborhood that I'm talking about right now. These are amazing, beautiful homes. They're estate-like homes. They sit on these large, grand lots. There's been lots of different famous people that have lived here. They're absolutely stunning. You can kind of see some of them behind me. The way the trees line the streets on this neighborhood is absolutely beautiful. At Christmas time, the homeowners here decorate this neighborhood to the absolute nines. You've got tons of Christmas lights on these old, gorgeous homes. They also do like lights that'll string across the street that just look absolutely beautiful. It looks like something out of a movie. In fact, this neighborhood has been featured in a ton of movies. So Fab 40s is definitely my dream neighborhood. Now let's talk a little bit about the Fab 40s and why I love this part of East Sacramento. So one reason I love it is you're super close to downtown. So if you need to get to downtown for work, or maybe you want to go check out a Kings game, you're only about 5, maybe 10 minutes during peak time. So super convenient, super easy. Now, another reason I love this neighborhood is the proximity that it has when you're talking about trying to get to the airport, you're only about a 15 to 20 minute drive to the Sacramento International Airport. So if you like to travel a lot, you're super close, super convenient to that as well. Now, one thing about this neighborhood now when we're talking about schools, so if you've got school-aged kiddos, a lot of people that live in this neighborhood send their kids to the private schools around here. So the private schools for high school, there's an all-girls school, St. Francis, it's great education. Then you've also got Jesuit. So they're not super close, but they're not that far. They're still in Sacramento. But that is something that you would have to drive your kiddos to if that was the option that you chose to go if you lived in this neighborhood. Now, another thing that I absolutely love about this neighborhood is that it's super walkable. So you still have sidewalks here, you still have easy walkable streets. It's super walkable to a ton of really awesome restaurants. One of our favorite restaurants is actually located in East Sacramento. It's Origami. There's tons of other locally owned restaurants that are in East Sacramento that are also walkable. So that's really, really nice being in this neighborhood. You're close to things. You've got great restaurants. You don't have to travel super far. You're located right in the heart of the city, but you're not in a bad area. You're in a really nice area with gorgeous homes. You can kind of see them behind me there. Really well kept, super nice. And these are more of that grand estate-like style homes. So you've got large rooms, you've got formal dining room, formal living rooms. Now, a lot of these homes also have garages that are detached that sit in the back corner of these lots. So you do have parking here as well, which is super nice. Being in Sacramento, parking is not always something that's guaranteed, but a lot of these neighborhoods have either long driveways or they have that detached garage in the back corner of the lot. Now, homes in this neighborhood tend to be on the pricier side, which is why this is my dream neighborhood. So here the homes definitely start in the low millions and they go up from there depending on how much they've been updated or if they've been updated. But they're just really, really gorgeous, really nice homes. They have an awesome feel. And if you've ever seen them at Christmas time, they're gorgeous. You've got horse-drawn carriages that come down these streets during Christmas, which is really, really cool. So it's definitely something that's worth checking out if you're thinking about East Sacramento.
All right, so Lauren just did her dream neighborhood, which was gonna be Fab 40s in East Sac. Mine is gonna be pretty similar. So we're sticking with the theme. We're down in Sacramento. We'll finish with our favorite 2 suburbs outside of Sacramento after these 4 neighborhoods, but my neighborhood is gonna be similar to Lauren's as it relates to no price constraints, no restrictions, still within the Sacramento city limits, but we're not really factoring in kind of kids and families. But I will say this neighborhood is probably a little bit safer as it relates to if you did have a family and you still were considering that as a key, those 5 factors that we spoke about at the beginning of this video. But I'm in Land Park, so I absolutely love Land Park. You can kind of see some of these houses here behind me. They are just absolutely gorgeous. So you have these really cool kind of, detached garage. I'm just walking down the street right now. You've got these nice, big, beautiful tree-lined streets, which is kind of the same kind of vibe and feel that you're gonna get with East Sacramento, Fab 40s where Lauren was just at as well too. But you've got these super cute houses. Some of them are really big. Some of them, are detached garage where you got the garage in the back, but just a super cool neighborhood, man. I absolutely love this area. Now, proximity wise to Sacramento, this is gonna be similar to East Sacramento. It's probably gonna be one of the closest neighborhoods that you can be to downtown Sacramento if you're trying to just be down in the hustle and bustle of kind of that city life. Prices here are gonna be pretty expensive though. You're gonna be kind of in the low 900s and they can go upwards of $1 million depending on style, size, shape, condition, where you are in proximity, how much land you have, but just a super cool neighborhood as it relates to that. Now, proximity wise, you are very close to downtown Sacramento within a, probably 5 to 10 minute car ride. You're pretty close to like Tower Cafe, Broadway, not too far away from Golden One Center, all the restaurants, all the art galleries, all the hustle bustle of downtown Sac. Now, as it relates to school districts, you're actually not too far away from West Campus, which is going to be one of the top rated school districts in the entire greater Sacramento metro, especially within the city limits of Sacramento. A lot of people in these areas still do tend to send their kids to St. Francis or Jesuit, which is an all girls or all boys school. Jesuit's gonna be kind of over in that Sierra Oaks kind of Arden area that Lauren was in when she was talking about Rio Americano. St. Francis is actually going to be over in East Sac, which is again the neighborhood that Lauren was just at. But you know, a lot of people will still tend to put their children in private school down here. So when you're considering that factor as it relates to family element, you're still not in the worst areas of Sacramento as it relates to schools, or if you're considering like school ratings from that. But definitely something to factor in there as well. So man, I just absolutely love kind of this tree line street. Now it's you know, we're in February right now, so we haven't seen kind of spring kick into full effect yet, but man, you just have these beautiful tree lined streets in Sacramento that are just absolutely gorgeous. When we're considering proximity to the airport, again, being on the south side of Sacramento, you're probably about a 20-minute drive to the Sacramento International Airport if you still got to go back and visit family, or you still got to go, you know, fly or travel for work. The other element, and I didn't really talk about this too much when we were over in Pocket, but when we're talking about kind of the style and age of these homes are going to just be different than what we're seeing at a lot of the new constructions, right? Because a lot of the people back then, they weren't thinking of these grand master suites, master bedrooms, primary bathrooms, everything's attached, these giant like living areas within your master bedroom. So, you know, these homes are still going to be gorgeous. They're going to have a lot of character, a lot of charm. They're all going to be different and unique in their own way, but they are going to be different. So that's going to be kind of one of those other factors when we're talking about where you would want to live in the greater Sacramento metro. Part of that's going to factor into the kind of style and home that you really want, right? If you're just a person that doesn't like these styles of homes, then this area is going to be absolutely horrible for you as relates to that. Or if you just don't like to be down in kind of this downtown Sacramento area, again, would be horrible for you. So you really have to understand where you would want to be at. So for me, that's kind of where this neighborhood lands on kind of a dream neighborhood, where I'm not really having to think about school districts for kids if I was going to live in here, you know, super close to downtown Sacramento. So again, if I'm just thinking about having fun, maybe going out on Friday, Saturday night, you're pretty close in proximity to a lot of different things. I mean, heck, from where we're at in Land Park, you can take jump bikes, you can take the jump scooters, you can take electric skateboards. I mean, you're pretty close where you don't really have to have a vehicle being down here. You can take a road bike, pretty close to a lot of different things. So, and then overall, you know, crime and safety, when you factor in some of that stuff, you know, not really sure as it relates to these numbers because I don't live in this area, but just a general overall rule of thumb, when you're closer to the heart of the city, the downtown Sacramento, you tend to see those graphs and those cluster maps tend to be a little bit more dark in color. But again, you know, biggest thing with crime and safety is any of these neighborhoods that we're talking about, we're looking at, you want to make sure that you do your own research and you're comfortable with whatever that you're finding as it relates to that, right? Everything is perspective. Some people come from big cities and the crime is less than those cities. Some people come from rural, less populated areas, and the crime is a little bit more than what they expect in those rural populated areas. So keep that in mind when you're looking at some of that stuff. Now stick around, because the last two areas that we're going to go to are going to be two areas that are going to be outside of the Sacramento city limits. If we were moving to Sacramento, but we weren't going to live within a 25-30 minute commute to Sacramento. So this is going to be outside of that in some of those suburbs. So let's go check those out.
All right, so we told you that if you stuck around until the end, we were going to share with you what our favorite suburb or area outside of Sacramento would be if we were relocating here. So I'm going to go first. So right now I'm in East Roseville. I know you guys have heard me talk about East Roseville before, but I absolutely love this area. Right now, specifically in East Roseville, I'm in the Stone Ridge community, which is located on the top of the hill in East Roseville that kind of goes up and over by Sierra College Boulevard. So one thing I absolutely love about East Roseville and why I would pick this area is, you've heard me say it before, but the school districts here. Now in East Roseville, some of the homes are going to feed to Granite Bay schools. Now some neighborhoods are going to feed to Roseville City School District for elementary, but they all feed to Roseville Joint Union High School District. Now, some neighborhoods will go to Granite Bay High School, some neighborhoods will go to Oakmont High School. But when it comes to East Roseville, it doesn't really matter because they're amazing schools, whether you're in Roseville City School District or whether you're in Eureka Union or you're going to Granite Bay schools. Now, I absolutely love East Roseville. I love the feel that it has. One thing I really love about this particular area is the way that it sits up on the hill. Some of these homes have amazing views kind of the valley. It has a little bit of a different feel. I love that these homes are a little bit newer. They're extremely well kept. And one of the really cool things about East Roseville is there's a ton of parks weaved in and out of all of these neighborhoods, which is really cool. I'm at one of them right now. So you can kind of see the park behind me. And then if I turn around, it's all houses that just kind of face this really cool park. So I would pick East Roseville if I was thinking about moving to one of the suburbs of the greater Sacramento metro. Now, one of the things I also love about East Roseville is its location. So East Roseville, you're close to kind of central Roseville and where all the things are that are happening out here. So you're close to shopping with the Roseville Galleria nearby and the fountains nearby. You're also close to a ton of really awesome restaurants. East Roseville also has some of its own awesome restaurants right in East Roseville. You've got Mikuni Sushi located on Eureka. You've also got Nick's Taco, which is closer to Oakmont High School. So you just have a lot of really nice things out in East Roseville. Now, one of the things that I like about the houses out here, like I said before, is a lot of them are a little bit newer, specifically in this part of East Roseville. I like the bigger grand feel that they have. Some of them have like really cool great room features. With really big kitchens, perfect for entertaining. Now, my other favorite thing about East Roseville is definitely the trail system. So it's cool being in East Roseville because you've got Miners Ravine Trail. So this neighborhood actually has a couple of different inlets that go into Miners Ravine Trail. Now that trail connects to all of Roseville's trail systems. So you can go for miles and miles of walks. You can take your dog, you can ride your bike, they're paved, and they're really clean and really well kept. Now, another thing to note about East Roseville, I've talked about proximity to the airport. So East Roseville is really conveniently located along Interstate 80. So if you need to hop on the freeway to get to the airport, it's only gonna take you about 25 to 30 minutes, depending on the time of day and traffic. So getting to the airport's super easy out here. You're also only about a 25 to 30 minute drive into downtown. So if you have to work down there or commute, or maybe you want to go check out a Kings game, you're not that far from any of that stuff either. But being in East Roseville, you're also kind of more in the quiet, tucked away neighborhoods. Has just a different vibe and a different feel out here. Really a great place to raise a family. I love this area. I love that you're close to two of the biggest hospitals out here. You've got Kaiser in East Roseville. You've also got Sutter Roseville Medical Center. So for any emergencies or any random kid things that happen, if you need an emergency room, you're super close to all of that too. East Roseville just has a lot to offer. And in my opinion, you can't go wrong with the houses out here. They're all stunning. They all offer unique character. And I love the parks. I love that you're close to all of that. Just a great place to raise a family, a great place to check out. So next, Lance is gonna share with you what his favorite Sacramento suburb is gonna be, and you're definitely gonna wanna check it out. I also love the area that he's gonna talk about too.
All right, so we are at our last and probably my absolute favorite place in all of the greater Sacramento metro, and that's gonna be American River Canyon, located in Folsom, California. Now, we told you that our two suburb areas were gonna be slightly outside of about a 25 to 30 minute drive. Now, I know Lauren was over in East Roseville, and that is a top area that we are wanting to live in, but we are in American River Canyon. This is gonna be right on the edge of Folsom. It's actually gonna be kind of bordering Granite Bay and parts of Orangevale. It's gonna be right over off of Oak Avenue Parkway and American River Canyon Drive. Now, the cool thing about this neighborhood, one of the things that I absolutely love about this area, I used to come over here every day after school. I would run, I would do my cardio as I was losing weight. I love this neighborhood. I used to daydream in this neighborhood. I'm actually today, after this video, I'm gonna go run in this neighborhood and get my cardio just to bring up old memories. But one of the things that I absolutely love about this neighborhood is the homes in here are absolutely gorgeous. They are nice, big, very grand estates. So kind of when we look over at some of these homes, you've got these nice, large, big 2-story homes that are pretty grand. and pretty kind of magnificent, you know, when we're just kind of walking through the neighborhood. Now, the school districts for Folsom, they're gonna be some of the best school districts in all of the greater Sacramento metro, right there up next to Granite Bay. So you've got 2 high schools in Folsom. American River Canyon particularly is gonna go to the original Folsom High School, but you are gonna have Vista Del Lago, which is also gonna be another really good school. They're gonna have great elementary, they're gonna have great middle schools. Now, this particular neighborhood is actually gonna be a little bit closer to like Granite Bay High School and Casa Roble, but still awesome neighborhood, and it's going to be assigned to some highly rated public schools. Now, for the third point that we talked about on these videos today, you're gonna be probably somewhere between a 35 to a 40-minute commute to the airport. So there are gonna be a couple of different areas. So really kind of where we're at located right now, there's just not a direct freeway shot to get from this part of town to the airport. So you've got to take a couple of city streets to get over to a freeway. So probably about 35 to 40 minutes away. Now, talking about the type and style of home, this is gonna be similar to East Roseville, but completely different than what we saw down in Sacramento today. So these homes are gonna be kind of built in those kind of like late 90s, early 2000s, but these are gonna be massive homes. So these are gonna be anywhere from probably, I think the smallest one we've seen in here has been, you know, probably like a 200, 2,500 square foot home, 4 bedrooms. They've got some single stories that are pretty massive. A lot of these are gonna be kind of big 2 stories, very grand, very big feel, 3,000 square foot plus homes sitting on these kind of massive estate lots, 3-car garages. So you are gonna have some pretty awesome, you know, like kind of just big homes. And then the cool thing that I actually really like about this neighborhood is you got this really awesome park. We used to play, you know, pick up basketball games when we were in high school. There's a set of lights on this basketball court, but usually there's always like pretty awesome soccer games that are going on right now. But it's just across the street from the kind of like the main neighborhood. Pretty cool park. You always see, you know, soccer games, people out here barbecuing and stuff. But the cool thing about some of these areas too, and I'm not sure that Lauren touched on it too much in her video, but so when you're talking about proximity to being in the greater Sacramento metro, the closer you are to downtown Sacramento, you're gonna notice more of those spikes and more of those things as it relates to, you know, crime and just kind of the different safety. So the cool thing about Folsom and East Roseville is these 2 cities are rated 2 of the most safest neighborhoods in all of the greater Sacramento metro. So the nice thing is, you know, as it relates to safety in suburbs, that is going to be an element that people may consider when they're moving out here. So the biggest thing, and we'll touch on this a little bit, but the biggest thing when we talk about it is when you guys reach out to us, when we hop on that Zoom call, we're gonna be going through and we're gonna be getting to know your goals, we're gonna be getting to know your areas, and we're gonna be figuring out exactly what your lifestyle is supposed to be like, so that way we can figure out what makes the absolute most sense as it relates to your work, maybe commuting to the airport, activities, hobbies, other things like that. The other thing that I really love about Folsom, and even kind of being at this area of the Sacramento metro, is that we are a little bit closer to the foothills. So if you're trying to go skiing on the weekend, or if you're trying to go, you know, do some hiking, mountain biking, or the cool thing about Folsom is you want to go out to like Lake Natoma, Folsom Dam, Folsom Lake, you want to go do some water sports, you're going to be super close to all that stuff here. So that's kind of the reason why we tend to lean a little bit more towards the suburbs and a little bit further away from like downtown Sacramento or some of those other areas that are, you know, closer to the proximity, is because our activity and our lifestyle is actually just more of what we like to do outdoors. We like to be on the water. We like to go to Folsom Lake. We love to go to Lake Natoma in the summertime and go paddleboarding. So this is that thing that we talk about. We want you guys to reach out to us so that way we can hop on a Zoom call, hop on a phone call, really get to understand what your goals are, really get to understand why you're moving to the greater Sacramento metro, ask some questions, and then that way we can kind of figure out not necessarily the areas that are best for you, but really we can start to eliminate some of the areas that are just absolutely gonna be hard no's or hard passes that you just don't wanna focus on, right? If you've got to work on the north side of Sacramento, you definitely don't want to be living on the south side of Sacramento, and vice versa. Commuting time takes away from family time. So, you know, we want to get to know what your goals are. If you guys like to go skiing, if you guys like to go hiking, if you guys like to be outdoor at parks, whatever it is about your guys' lifestyle and your family dynamic, we want to know it so that way we can help you figure out what's going to be the best place so you're not making a regretted decision 2 years down the road that you're just like, I wasn't really happy with that. So that is one of the reasons why I absolutely love Folsom. It's one of my absolute favorite cities and this is particularly one of my absolute favorite neighborhoods.
All right, so those were our 6 areas, 3 that I chose, 3 that Lance chose. Now, as you can see, we have a little bit different taste when it comes to certain things. So that's something that we have to overcome, but every single family has that, right? So sometimes there are compromises that you'll make depending on area or maybe housing style or what's important to you when it comes to family. But these are all things that we can help you talk through in our one-on-one Zoom call. So that number should be popping up. We love to help you out with your move to the greater Sacramento Metro. So that QR code should be popping up. Make sure you pause the video, scan that, schedule your one-on-one Zoom call with us so that we can help talk through some of the different scenarios and maybe the different areas that maybe you didn't think about, or maybe that's something new that you thought, oh, maybe we could live there. So definitely schedule that call with us so that we can help make your move easy and seamless.